Hey, Dennis Mattern here, host of The Complete Advisor, hopefully your favorite podcast. And don't forget, you can catch the podcast wherever you love to consume podcasts. But I wanted to share with you a little bit of bonus material from our episode that we recorded with Jonathan Lee. This is a short little segment. It kind of worked just as its own, so I wanted to break it out. But it's a conversation that Jonathan and I had about getting into the federal market and his getting into the federal market. I thought it was fascinating and I didn't want it to end up on the cutting room floor, so here it is.
How did you get started with the federal market?
Well, my father was a federal employee and my mother was a federal employee, and I'm sort of at ground zero for that. And so I started doing educational live in-person workshops at the different installations. So like I'd have a client that worked at Walter Reed. They'd invite me in. I'd do a workshop at Walter Reed. And then, that just kind of spread. That's where my first one was, actually, at Walter Reed Medical Center in D.C. And then I got referred everywhere. I've gotten referred, like we used to go down to the Pentagon. Prior to 9/11, we were actually going down to the Pentagon in person. And then that kind of stopped and we're back there again. I've been into the White House, the executive offices of the White House in person.
That's cool.
Department of Justice, CIA, FBI, pretty much all the major agencies now in D.C. use us.
That's super. That is super cool. Yeah. And to be doing it that long. And golly, the White House, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It feels like there's a little bit of pressure. In fact, we've gotten requests, like Harvard Law School requested to have us come in.
Really?
And I've declined because there's no way I'm getting up in front of a group of lawyers and giving a talk.
That's a good point.
It's not going to happen.
You're just poking the bear.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But the government people are really, really appreciative, and especially like NIH. Like we have clients or people there that are like Nobel laureates in medicine, but they can't balance their checkbook. So you can never just assume. And one of the things that I've also found is sometimes when people are smarter and more successful, they're less likely to ask for help. They don't want to reach out and or embarrass themselves. So you would just assume that they don't know anything, and we teach them everything. And they've been, I think, very responsive and appreciative of that.
That's fascinating. Working with groups like that, especially where you do have somebody that's that highly educated, was that intimidating at first, or was it?
No, not at all. Honestly, I learned way back when I first learned this business. It doesn't matter. Like my dad has a PhD in economics. It doesn't matter how smart people are. If they're not in our business doing this every day, there's no way for them to have the knowledge that we have. And just going in there, like even newer advisors, we tell them this, and them going in there and understanding that really, really helps, and it keeps them at ease.
Hey, I hope you found that as fascinating as I did. I do want to remind you, of course, go ahead and see that like button, click it, subscribe so that you never miss an episode of The Complete Advisor. Also, I'd love to hear your comments, so if you've got something you'd like to share with me, please send it to me, write it in the comments, and I'll check it out. See you next time.
This podcast is for financial professional use only and not for use with the general public. The information provided is the exclusive property of Creative One and is protected by copyright and other intellectual property laws of the United States. This material has been prepared for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended to provide, and should not be relied upon for, accounting, legal, tax or investment advice. Creative One is not responsible for the results of programs discussed on this podcast or any liability stemming from the use of it. Although we may promote or recommend the services offered by this company, agents are ultimately responsible for the use of any materials or services and agree to comply with the compliance requirements of their broker-dealer and registered investment advisor, if applicable, and the insurance carriers they represent. Copyright 2022, Creative One Marketing Corporation.